Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
Hey, Barry Manning here, and welcome to a Friday edition of the Garden Report, where we're going to talk some Red Sox off the bat here. Get some training camp early impressions as well with Brian Barrett, who, of course, covers all that and more for The Ringer over on the Off the Pike podcast. Welcome in, Brian.
Bobby, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm down, man. I think it's going to take me a little while to get over this one. Sox up 1-0 in this wild card series. No one's blown it before, and they do it in pretty devastating fashion. The game 2, a big letdown, and the game 3 really never showed up offensively, as you can see with the goose egg there. And once they squandered things in the 4th, it felt like one game 6 against the Knicks in New York to close that series, and 2. Like there was no chance of a comeback, even with how close it was. It felt like 14-0.
Yeah, so it's really rough to lose to New York twice in 6 months or so, whatever it is, when the Celtics lost that series. Like that stinks. I can't remember a more gut-wrenching Red Sox playoff loss since 2008, because we've had a lot of great Red Sox playoff wins. 2008, of course, is when the Sox are looking to repeat, and David Price comes into the game for the Tampa Bay Rays at the time. He was a rookie and shuts down that team, which that 08 team was still a wagon with most of the guys back from the 07 roster that ran through the playoffs. After they had a tough series against Cleveland, they ran through the playoffs, absolutely clobbered the Rockies in the World Series. And it was just like, man, they really have a chance to win back-to-back World Series. So that was gut-wrenching. And look, I didn't have the same expectations as that 08 Red Sox team, or even the Celtics this year, where it's like, man, I can't believe this is how it's going to end, and all the repercussions with it where, okay, you're probably going to have to trade Drew. You're probably going to have to trade Porzingis. There is a likelihood that Al's not going to be there. And after the Tatum injury, you could sort of justify that stuff based on the salary cap. With this one, I don't think the Red Sox had much of a chance if they advanced, just because the rotation was so thin. But the fact that you had the Yankees on the ropes and you let them off the mat with fundamentals is the thing that sort of aggravates me, right? Because I look at it, okay, game 1 was awesome. It feels like it was 2 years ago at this point, based on everything that has happened over the past few days. And you pointed out, just think about the Tuesday game, because now the defense failed you again, and Conley early got screwed by the defense behind him in that game on Thursday night. But think about this. Duran catches that ball. You're out of the inning. Judge hits it's a great pitch by Slayton. Well-executed pitch. You get arguably the best hitter in the game, depending on where you rank him and Ohtani, and you don't get out of the inning because the dude has the glove in front of his head and drops a routine fly ball. That's got to be made. Then you go to a situation where it's first and second, no outs. Your center fielder can't get a bunt down. Still, after that, Yoshida comes up with another clutch hit. I mean, Yoshida was awesome in the series. Eaton doesn't score. Bad base running, bad base coaching as well in that situation. So essentially, that's a 2-run swing. You gave them a run, and you took a run off the board. You were the underdog series, and rightfully so, based on all the injuries that happened, and you still should have won the series, which is the craziest thing. If you just execute simple baseball things, you're going to Toronto to play the Blue Jays, with probably not a great chance to beat them based on what we saw from Brian Bale, who maybe he would have started in the game Saturday based on the fact that he barely threw he couldn't even get through 4 innings for you in that particular situation. So I don't think they had much of a chance. But the reality is you should have knocked the Yankees out of that series on Wednesday, and you didn't. And the kid was great on the mound on Thursday. Even if your defense was better in that 1 inning, maybe you still lose the game. But they should have won the series. And it's embarrassing that you do it in that fashion. Base running and not being able to catch routine fly balls.
Yeah, and it's hard to get caught up on early, one, because of the spot he's in. You knew it was going to be a difficult position for him to win in if you got to that game. So you have to win in game 2. I can probably nitpick. You go into the bullpen and batter too early there. But all the things that are going to stick with you are from game 2, not sending Eaton, the drop, the bunt. I mean, there's just a million things from that game, including the Bayo pull, which Looking back on it, was it the right move?
I think it was. I don't know how you leave him in the game any longer, right? Based on the fact that you just got the runs back for him, and he goes out there and there's already 2 men on base in that particular inning. And Wilson goes in and it gets you out of that jam. I don't think Bayo does, right? And the reality of the situation is it catches up to you because of Bayo, right? Like Whitlock throws 47 pitches. He hadn't thrown north of 30 pitches since the end of June. So I understand the argument of like, okay, well, you ran out of gas because you went to the bullpen too long. I would argue that Bayo would have lost you the game based on the way that he was pitching. I mean, his best pitch for the majority of his career, or at least the pitch he gets the most swings and misses on, is his changeup. The first inning of the game, he doesn't throw a single changeup, right? He throws Ben Rice a cutter right over the middle of the plate, and it felt like he was scared at points to pitch to those Yankees hitters. We saw early, at least he was going after them and attacking them. So I guess the one argument you could make is, hey, do you want to bring Tole into this game? We saw them bring Tole into a dirty inning like a week and a half ago. It didn't go well. The reality right now with Tole, and he's a great prospect, love the kid and all that, he's got one consistent pitch. Like, he doesn't have any secondary stuff right now. He can really only throw his fastball. We saw, like, his first outing, he just threw 1 million fastballs, right? And it was effective. And after that, teams like, oh, yeah, so this is kind of the only pitch that he has right now. And look, he's going to improve. He's going to get much better and all that. But
shout out to him, though. The one out he got in the series was a big one.
No doubt. But I thought Cora made all the right moves in that particular game. It felt like an arm short. And the other element to that is, if you didn't screw up what we were talking about, giving away a run and not scoring a run, you probably still find a way to win the game. So it's tough. And like, I give Cora a ton of credit for the way that he was able to sort of maneuver his way through the bullpen. Like, I think about another coach where I'm like, hey, it doesn't work against the Knicks playing 2 bigs. Maybe go away from 2 bigs. All the data told you that going into the series, and then you didn't adjust. Remember Peyton Pritchard, the guy that was the hero of Game 3? Let's play him significantly less in Game 4 after that lineup worked. So, I mean, I give Cora credit for at least being sort of pliable with his thinking. Like, he threw Crochet 117 pitches. That's not the obvious move, right? We saw Boone in that same game take Fried out early.
Game 1. Even though they lose the series, you'll still remember Game 1 as just a flawless win.
I mean, he threw his hardest pitch with his 117th pitch of the game.
Yeah.
He's not human, Bobby. That does not happen for normal human beings.
Yeah, so, you take that, you take making the playoffs, you take a lot of successes in spite of things they went through this year and are happy about them. But I still feel down about them not closing this out. The biggest thing is I thought today, just driving through Boston, no playoff game at Fenway. That sucks. So you're still in a drought in that sense since 2021. And then I'm not even sure what's going to happen this offseason. Like, part of me thinks they might just say, yeah, we got the young guys coming and we'll let them get acclimated to start next year. And maybe we'll fill a hole or 2 here. But I'm not convinced there's going to be any major splash or move to address some of the bigger needs on this roster, which obviously are a middle of the order bat and a second number 2 pitcher after things went the way it did with Bayo there.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. First of all, I also give the Red Sox credit where they tried to lose the final game of the season, right? De Leon, who hadn't pitched all year, pitched. He actually pitched okay.
You think things might have went better if they dropped down?
Yeah. And David Hamilton hit a home run. I much would have rather played the Guardians. The Guardians can't hit, right? Like that Yankees lineup.
I wanted the whole Yankees thing, but here we are.
I get it, but I just think from a matchup perspective, the Guardians were the much easier matchup than the Yankees because the Yankees, I mean, that is a flawed team, but they do have, when Judge and Stanton come to the plate, you're scared, despite the fact that Judge has been a miserable postseason player. Stanton's actually the opposite. He's been a great postseason player. But in terms of what you were mentioning about the offseason, I do wonder about the Bregman thing now, because it felt like at times, hey, it's the obvious move. You got to bring him back. We know he's a Boris guy. He's going to opt out. But you look at his numbers post-injury, they weren't good. And you look at the fact that he's now an aging player. He's had that injury twice in his career. He was so great for the clubhouse, and he was awesome before the injury. But I do wonder about that, right? Like, hey, you're talking about, you go back in time and you think about the whole idea of, we don't want to give out these long-term contracts, right? So Mookie's gone. Okay, well, we're not giving it to Xander Bogaerts. And not to say that it would have cost you what the Padres got. There was a chance in there where you could have got him for basically a 2-year extension, and you didn't offer him more annual average value than Story. So you didn't get him. So then you had to overcompensate and pay Devers the money. where Devers is the guy that you knew was not going to age well. I mean, all you have to do is look at the guy compared to Mookie Betts. I mean, Mookie Betts, the ironic part about all this is he's playing shortstop, and he had the most defensive runs saved of any shortstop in Major League Baseball, and he's on the other side of 30. Usually guys on the other side of 30 have to go play a different position than shortstop when they get older, and he's actually aged real well. Now, he didn't hit the ball well earlier in the season. Just look at what he did in the last series. So he's come alive. I think part of the fact that he got off to a slow start was he had that brutal illness before the season. But so with Bregman, I don't know. Like, are you definitely bringing him back based on the age? Like, that's a question. You do.
There's
have
no
to
easy way to replace him unless Meyer's going to do it.
Well, and you've dug yourself this hole now, right? Because you traded Devers. So, and look, we don't have to relitigate the trade, but the reality is, well, so you're just going to play Meyer every day at third base now? He's injury prone as well. I do think there has to be an investment in a number 2 starter. Maybe do you revisit the Joe Ryan thing? If I'm the Twins, I don't know why the Twins wanted Jarren Duran. If they want Duran, I mean, I'll drive them to Logan. I mean,
so is that what the hang-up was, looking back on it?
Apparently, because essentially, like, the reporting was that Tolley was in the deal. Like, they were willing to put Tolley in the deal.
I mean, even that, I know I love Tolley, but to get a surefire number 2 guy.
Well, they put him in there, to their credit. Like, he was in the deal. So I'm guessing they wanted 1 or 2 of both of Abreu or Duran. Like, I don't understand.
And that's tough because look at where Duran and Abreu's values are now.
Yeah.
But
well,
especially hurt. Like, who knows how it would have gone.
Yeah, it's like the Padres, remember, they really wanted Duran too. I don't understand why teams were so infatuated with Duran. And I understood at the time where the Red Sox like, okay, we don't want to trade him at the deadline because he actually got hot at that time. But the reality is he's going to be 29 years old next year. He's never been a consistent player. He hit south of 210 against lefties this year, Bobby. We just saw what he did in the postseason, right? He had 1 great year. That's it. He had 1 great year. He's not a great on-base percentage guy. He's not a great walk guy. It's not like he's a guy that doesn't strike out a lot. He certainly will do that, and he doesn't really hit for power. So, like, there's a reason the Red Sox in the offseason didn't want to give him a long-term extension, and they barely avoided arbitration. It's because they know what most people know. He's not a great player. He was overvalued by the market, and looking back, maybe it would have benefited you to trade him at the deadline. I know, like, it wouldn't have been great in the clubhouse, but it may have benefited the long-term outfit of the Red Sox organization if they actually moved on from him when he had value.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest second guess from this year when you look back on it, especially with where they stand going this offseason. It's tough to fill the holes they already have and then try to prevent guys from like Bregman and Story from getting away too here potentially. So they're in a difficult spot. They're in a decent spot. They definitely have talent. They're definitely pointing upward trajectory-wise, but I'm fascinated to see how the offseason is going to go. But it's a killer to see it end like this. I want to get into some Celtics stuff here as we head the first week of camp, final practice of the week tomorrow. I want to shout out PrizePicks first. You know, PrizePicks, as we head into the weekend, it's football time. And, you know, we're 5 weeks or so into this fantasy season, 4 or 5 weeks, and it's rough. You know, your guys go down. You didn't pick the right team. So that's what I love about PrizePicks. You can go over there and draft a new team every single week. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks. So how do you do it? Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. So more or less than 1 rushing touchdown for Saquon Barkley, more or less than 270 passing yards for Josh Allen. I think you're going to be wanting to look at Drake May's stats this weekend and see what he's going to do against that Buffalo defense out there in a big game. Available in 40-plus states, all withdrawals fast, safe, and secure. And they also offer injury reboots. That's a big one. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks won't count it as a loss. They invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect, and you can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So the best way to win cash this football season is PrizePicks. Download the app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. So training camp's going on. I'm sure you've been following all the happenings, Brian. What's interesting you most out of the early practices here and some of the stuff we're hearing the guys say?
The first thing I would say is the tweet you had today about Keita taking threes. Like, is this really going to happen? He's actually going to take threes. Did the Celtics break their own record of most 3-point attempts in a game? I think they will, because I think they're going to play faster without Tatum, right? Like they have to speed up this. And if you look at the guards they have, White, Pritchard, and Simons all take a lot of threes. So I think that was the first thing in terms of, I was just thinking about it when I saw the video of Cade, like how many threes is this team going to get up, right? It was over 48 last year. It was 53% of their.
I'm going to say it's still high. I think they're still going to shoot a lot.
I think it's going to be over. I think they're going to break the record. I think they're going to play at a faster pace this year, and the Simonses, the Whites, the Pritchards are going to get up a ton of threes. The one thing I will say, though, that interested me the most out of training camp so far were the quotes from Jalen about being the number one option, and he spun it around on like there's a number one option on defense too.
I loved it.
Yeah, and he keeps talking about like all NBA defense as well.
Is that feasible?
Is this a culture thing?
Yeah, it's got to be, right? Because I think there was a pretty steady theme of Jalen saying it's not all about him this year and filling in for Tatum and all of that and spinning the focus, as you said, toward defense. Pritchard saying he's fine coming off the bench again, if that's what they needed to do. And then Derek was talking about how, in the past, I put expectations on myself to score more, to do more, and that usually doesn't go well. So I'm just trying to be consistent and be the same guy night in and night out. So none of these guys are looking at this situation with Tatum out, at least in the media, and saying, yeah, I'm going to do more. This is my time to shine. And a lot of the talk's been about welcoming in the new guys and raising up the young players. And, Walsh is even out there, erroneously or not, talking about how they're going to do hockey lines and have a bunch of different guys playing. So I'm curious to see how it's going to go, because there's a lot of talk right now about what they want to do. What are they actually going to do? Are they going to actually play faster? Are they actually going to force turnovers? We're less than a week away from the first preseason game, so I can't wait to see how it actually looks, because there's been a lot of intriguing stuff said so far.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to me with Jalen because we all remember that great series he had against Dallas, obviously finals MVP, and the way that, most importantly, the way he guarded Luka and basically picking him up and wore him down throughout that series. But as great as he was in that series, I've never looked at Jaylen Brown as like the defensive leader of this team, and the fact that he's talking about all NBA defense, right? He can be a great on-ball defender when he wants to be, but look, the on-off numbers can get noisy, but the past 2 years, 3.1 points per 100 worse with him on the floor via cleaning the glass on defense, 24th percentile. A couple years ago, it was 26th percentile, 25th percentile if you look through it. There's a couple years where it's positive, and I'm not saying this is all on Jaylen Brown. It's just weird that he's the guy that's talking about defense, and maybe that's sort of the culture they want to set, and maybe it's coming down from Missoula because they know, like, you look at the bigs right now, there's a lot of questions there about hey, you had great defensive bigs, right? When you're looking at Porzingis as a rim protector and Al Horford and his versatility, and Cornette was an excellent rim protector as well. So when you look at that, you look at this year, it's like, oh, we need to sort of up our perimeter defense. Like our perimeter defense, your interior defense be a strength, but our perimeter defense may have to bail out our interior defense a little bit more this year than it has in years past, because also not having Horford, you can't be as flexible as you want to be defensively. So maybe that's part of it with Jalen, is he just wants to get it out there. But what I'm most interested in with Jalen is his offensive game this year, right? Because we know that he had the knee procedure, right? And I attribute a lot of his issues last year in terms of the percentages going down to the lift, right? Like you could tell, he was not the same guy. We saw it down the stretch of the season. It was something that everybody was concerned about going into the playoffs. But does he get back to the guy that he was 2 years ago and 3 years ago from an efficiency perspective from 2-point territory? Because that was the most jarring thing to me about Jalen's season last year is, yeah, the 3-point numbers, I'm not surprised they weren't good. He's never been a great 3-point shooter. But the 2-point numbers, to go from 57.6% to 57% to 52.9%, he was one of the best mid-range shooters in the game, 77th percentile, 89th percentile, 46%, 48%. Last year, he's at 43%. In the playoffs, he shot 60.7% on twos 2 years ago. I mean, that's amazing. That number was significantly down last year, right? So I want to see, I know he was trying to avoid that number one option question, but I want to see how good he could be as the number one guy.
It was the story, of going into this year, because it felt like he always wanted it. It felt like he's going to embrace it. And to see him No, I don't think it's surprising, right? Because to some degree, he's a contrarian kind of guy, and he knows everyone else is going to be talking about that going into this year. So seeing him spin it around isn't totally surprising to me. But I do think, and I've said this, the approach can't be put it all on his plate or put it all on Derek's plate or any one of these guys, because they're going to face a lot of defensive pressure. I don't think any of them are totally equipped to handle that great. So the more that they can spread the wealth around and rely on some other guys and play away from some of that pressure, I think is for the best. And I don't think we've talked enough about some of the challenges they face defensively this year. I mean, Jalen's going to have to take on as much as he ever has on that end, probably guarding some big men even, like Tatum did in the past. Is Kata guarding big straight up all year? Are they going to be playing him off and having him roaming away from some bad shooters like they've done with other bigs in the past? I think that's going to be more difficult to do this year, even though I think that's the plan. And then you got the small guards, Pritchard, Simons. How are you hiding some of those guys? Shireman, he's had his struggles on that end if he's going to be playing more this year. So this is a defense that's been among the best in the league pretty much since Brad took over. And this is the first season I can remember where there are serious questions on that end. And they found ways to be great, specifically in stopping the three. And it's good to hear them talking about that again out of this camp. But they have a lot of questions on that end. And that's another thing I'm going to be looking for on Wednesday, specifically if, like in the scrimmage video that they put out, the lineup's going to be White, Pritchard, Hauser, Brown, Kata. Because that's a little small, especially on the boards.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I would add to that is we think about Tatum and how much of the load he carries offensively for this team in terms of being basically the primary ball handler a lot of the times, right? And I look at this team right now, Jason Tatum is probably his most underrated skill is his rebounding. He is by far the best rebounder in the league for his position. I mean, you could argue that he's the best non-center rebounder in the sport. And we saw the Celtics last year, and it happened a lot with Pritchard. They took advantage of offensive rebounding opportunities last year, those corner crashes that they always had. And it was really difficult to take advantage of the Celtics defense when they had Tatum out there as a rebounder. You also miss Tatum's versatility, and I would also point to Drew's versatility, right? Where I know Drew didn't have the season he wanted to last year, but Drew's very versatile. I mean, we've seen him guard Karl Anthony Towns or Joel Embiid, right? And the same thing could be said about Tatum, where Tatum has so much flexibility from a defensive perspective. And you look at it, how many plus defenders are on this team right now? I mean, Jalen can be what he wants to be. So I think you could say Jalen and Derek White. That's it.
Yep.
Is there anybody else? Like, am I missing somebody on this team? I mean, I think Pritchard's a pretty good defender for his size. I don't think he's like a negative defender, but you wouldn't say he's a plus defender just because the limitations from a size perspective. The idea of Jordan Walsh coming out of Arkansas is he could be that guy, but we don't even know how much playing time Jordan Walsh.
Well, that's where we could run into a surprise lineup wise. If someone really emerges as a defensive stopper for this team, let's say it is Walsh. Like, can you put it past them to start Walsh? I'm not totally ruling that out. Josh Minot's getting a lot of love at camp for that. I think he's an interesting athletic guy if he's able to miss shots. But how much can you give up offensively to put a defender in there? I think is going to be a question with Joe here. I think the furthest they'd probably go, and I do think this is probably their best bet, is to put Boucher in there too. Just have some more size, some more length out on the floor. Not like he's the greatest defender in the world, but he's a big body, and just being around him at camp so far, pretty, large human being. He can shoot. He looks good from three. He's shot the three well throughout his career, and he's another guy who on the glass is pretty strong. So I don't know how that works for Hauser, because I think ideally they want to have Hauser playing with the guys that he's been playing with so far in his career. But I'm probably swapping out Hauser for Boucher right now. And then, like, do you have to keep Pritchard off the bench just to even out the lineups a little bit at that point, have Simon start? I think you could get to that. I've wanted to see Pritchard start, but there is a case for lineup balance, defense, balancing the strengths and weaknesses of the two different lineups right now. But I did find it interesting and expected, I guess, that the starting lineup we got a sneak peek of there in the scrimmage video was the five guys who have pretty much been here for a while.
Yeah, I'm interested with Kata, right? Because you look at his per 36 numbers, they're always awesome, right?
So what's your belief level with him right now? Because I put a tweet out there the other day that I feel just about as good with him as they did with Tice going into 2020. And some people didn't like that.
Yeah, here's my fear with him is what's his career high? Like 14 minutes per game, 13 minutes per game. And like I reference these per 36 numbers because I just don't know, like, does he have the ability to play as hard as he does for like, I don't know, say like 28 to 32 minutes?
His high is 14 per game.
14 per game. Like, can you play the way that because I love when he gets on the court in a regular season game, right? It looks like he's shot out of a cannon. He's all over the place. He's getting rebounds. Sometimes I think he can get like a little out of position, like going after rebounds or going after blocks at times. So I think that's something that maybe can be fine-tuned. I just I wonder about, like, can you play with that type of energy for as long as he does? Like, that's a really difficult thing to do. Like, that's it. Like, he's balls to the wall. You can tell, like, when he's about to come out of the games, he's usually pretty tired. And maybe Eurobasket like helped him with that, where you get a ton of minutes.
Yeah,
there,
he was in the mid-20s. So he hit 30 a few times out there. So nothing extraordinary. I mean, he certainly can't be playing 35 a night like Horford and some of these other guys used to here. So it's going to be a mix. I know they're really excited about Garza, and I am too, just because there's a pedigree there. I think he can shoot a lot of threes to fit what they do and do a little bit better with more attempts. Like, he's been pretty limited in the amount he's been able to get up so far in his career just because he hasn't played a lot. So I'm high on him. He rebounds well for his size. He's physical. He's pretty burly. They're going to have to get to some wacky stuff to make this thing work here. And so before we wrap this up, Brian, I got to get your temperature check on just where you're at in terms of how good this team's going to be at this point. I've heard so many different predictions in terms of where this team's going to be at this year. There's definitely not a lot of room for error here, but I also think there's a lot more talent than they're being given credit for too. So I'm torn. I mean, I've been floating around 8, 9, 10 seed. Where are you at?
Well, it's interesting to me because I think there is an argument that they can overachieve just because there is, even though a lot of the guys are gone, I'm looking right now to see what their win total's at today, because it's been, I think I saw it earlier today that it was essentially, I want to say it was around 41. Yeah, it's 41 and a half still. 41
it's gone
and a
from
half.
43 to 41 and a half.
Yeah, it's 41 and a half. So here's my thing is, I think because the East is so bad, right, it's tough for me to see them not getting over 41 and a half. Like,
did you see Philly and Abu Dhabi?
No, I didn't. Why? What happened?
They looked awful.
Oh.
They were just dreadful. No Embiid, no George. It's a pretty thin group. And then they lost McCain, too, to this finger injury. So that's what you're going to be seeing on opening night.
That dude cannot catch a break. So I think they'll go over that 41 and a half. I mean, I've said on multiple occasions, and I think I'm walking back this take. I thought, like, hey, what may be best in the long-term interest of this team is actually stinking and get a lottery pick that can go along with Tatum and Jalen for the foreseeable future. Like, it'd be great this year if we see something from 2 of the 3 guys in terms of, like, Ugo Gonzalez, Shireman, and Walsh. Like, can 2 of those 3 guys be in the rotation the next 2 to 3 years when you're actually trying to compete again after this season? But now I'm second guessing myself with that because of this Tatum thing, man. Like, when that video came out, like a week and a half ago, this should not be possible. The guy just had Achilles. How many months ago was it now? Like, it's crazy. Yeah, 5 months ago. Okay, so that doesn't make sense. We saw Durant actually like quote tweeted the thing. So Durant's like a guy that obviously experienced this, was out for an entire season. But I have to imagine, like, and look, I do not know, I know nothing about the medical field, Bobby, but there was enhancements in ACL repairs, right? Like that used to be a devastating injury. And we see how quickly guys come back from that now. I just think there is something to this whole idea of, okay, he was in New York, the best Achilles guy, I forget his name, but the best Achilles guy is there. Yeah, he's there. And this whole idea of, well, isn't it? I think Michael Pina might have said this the other day. He's the first like person we've known in the world that had his Achilles surgery less than 24 hours after it happened. Like, I think he's the first guy in the world to ever have that. So maybe there is something to it.
Yeah, and at his age, there's a lot of unique aspects to it. The new procedures they use, it's definitely unprecedented what he's trying to do here. And I was excited about the video too. I got a little pause when I heard Shams say that Murray's going to be back around New Year's, which is around 11 months from his. Again, he didn't have his the next day, but he's been dunking. He's been on the court. He's doing stuff like we've seen with Tatum, and he's still multiple months away here. So if Tatum comes back 11 months after his surgery, we're talking the end of the season, regular season over. So
Yeah.
I'll still have some pause there for now, but it's hard not to get excited. I mean, I certainly didn't expect to see him flying up and down the court and shooting threes and posting a workout video this weekend. So I understand why everybody's excited about that. And when you see him at camp, he's been present, visible, active. I mean, he's talking about being stronger than before too. And maybe a lot of this is just to push himself through this year and how difficult it's going to be. But I think it's a good thing for everybody involved to have at least some hope there. Do you think he'll be back?
I think he will be. I mean, it feels to me like at this point that he's on that road where he's going to make at least get back by the end of the season. Like, I don't think it would surprise me. I'm not one of these people that's like, well, just rest him the whole year. I don't know enough about it. The Celtics aren't going to put him out there if he's not ready to play, right? So I don't understand why people have this take, like, oh, just rest him the whole year. It's like, do you know like how this works with any kid? Because I certainly don't. So if the Celtics medical staff and Tatum's
I don't
doctors,
think there's any benefit to waiting more time than when he's 100%. Once he's 100%, he goes.
Yeah, work off the rust now. The one other thing I'll say, going back to your question about how good the team will be, is that's why I was mentioning this thing like, hey, do we see 3 guard lineups where you got Pritchard and you got Derek White and you get Simons out there and you just go all offense with Jalen at the 4? We've barely seen any Jalen at the 4 over the past couple of years because you have the Jason Tatum guy here. So we've rarely seen that. And try to just jack up a ton of threes, because I think that's your way to try to be like a really good offense this year, right? That's how I think they're going to have to do it. I think they're going to have to win the math, because on the flip side of that, I can't see any chance. And look, maybe I'll be wrong about this. I'll be happy to say this. I don't see any chance they're a top 15 defense. I don't even know if they I think it'd be difficult for them to be a top 20 defense based on what they have in the interior. And they're one injury away, right? Hey, Jalen has to sit out for 2 weeks away from going on a losing streak, which his team never went on losing streaks over the past couple of years because of all the depth that they had in the high level depth. So that's what's the thing that concerns me about the win total, is just the overall depth. But I mean, what's the highest you think this defense can be ranked?
7.
7? You think they can be that good on defense?
Like the highest. Yeah, I think it's probably in the teens.
Yeah, so your
10,
prediction
11,
somewhere
12.
in the teens.
Yeah,
I think they're somewhere between 15 and 20.
And in that case, I think you're in trouble. I think you have to be capable on that end. If it's shootouts every night and you're trying to outscore everybody, I think it's going to be difficult, and you're probably going to be below 500 at that point, which still could be something in the East. But in terms of the higher end outcomes of this team, they're going to have to figure out a way to guard. And you know what? You know the numbers, Brian. They've been bottom 5 forcing turnovers every year under Missoula. Sounds like they're actually going to try to change that this year. And they've talked about it a ton going into pretty much every season he's coached here. I think they actually have to do it this time around. So they're going to be taking more chances. Josh Minot talked about them doing that in practice so far, jumping passing lanes, swiping at the ball, all that. So in that sense, it'll be a more fun style to watch this year, I think. There'll be some highs and lows. And I just don't think there's this low end for them. I don't think they can be awful like some people foresee here, but a couple injuries, and that's where you start to get scared here. So where are you shooing them in seeding, more or less?
I think they'll be somewhere between, maybe this is too bad. I was going to say somewhere between 6 and 10, but I'll say it's like 6 to 8. I think they're somewhere between that. Like maybe there's a chance they get to that 6th seed. Like if they were in the Western Conference, they would be in major trouble, but because of the East, all right, so we all agree that Cleveland and the Knicks are probably the 2 best teams, and then the Magic are right there with them. And you could throw the Magic in that conversation. I think Atlanta is going to be pretty good, where I like some of the moves, including getting Porzingis. I think Detroit's going to be good, right? Yep. Philadelphia is just, who the heck knows with them.
I'm not counting on them.
Right. So, and then Milwaukee, they have Giannis. Who else is on that team? Right. They got Miles Turner.
I've said Milwaukee, Philly, Indiana, Miami are going to be the teams that decide where Boston ends up. And, you can make the case for Chicago and Toronto. I'm not buying them, but they're kind of in that mix too, in the middle of the East. So that's where you say 6 high end, 11, 12 low end. I know Michael Pina has them 12 when I talked to him last. So he's on the lower end of outcomes for them.
Yeah, he thinks they stink. He's the lowest I've heard. He's the lowest of anyone I've talked to.
To his credit, I mean, that's definitely feasible that they do stink this year, but I don't think they're going to. I'm with you. Six would be great. Like, I think 6 is outstanding if you end up there. 7, 8, 9, 10, you're playing in. So that's where I'm at. Week in the books here of training camp. We'll be back at practice tomorrow. Of course, our Red Sox coverage is over for now until the spring. So we will see you then on that front. But the Celtics are just getting started here. Check out Brian's podcast, Off the Pike. We bounce back and forth on each other's podcast a bunch here. So looking forward to talking to you again here in the near future as the preseason action gets going on Wednesday. But first, a couple more practices in the books before the Celtics start their slate against the Grizzlies. Show some love to our sponsors, PrizePicks, getting going this weekend with a new lineup for your fantasy team here. Use the code CLNS and get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And of course, Game Time. Head over there and use the code CLNS in the Game Time app for $20 off your first ticket purchase. Terms apply. I got a concert I'm going to over at MGM tomorrow. Love using Game Time to buy my concert tickets as well as all your sports tickets, whether it's out in Buffalo this weekend, Patriots playing, you want to drive out for that, or some of the Celtics action coming up here. They got your seats with panoramic views, all in pricing that lets you know what you're going to pay ahead of time. And it's a big time for our coverage as we get started here with the Garden Report and CLNS. So show us some love and support by showing our sponsor some love and support here, CLNS, the code, and you'll get $20 off your first ticket purchase over on the Game Time app. Terms apply, and subscribe to all of our coverage, CLNS Media, Celtics All Access, Patriots Press Pass. They'll have a post-game show coming up after the Bills game this weekend as well. And that's it for tonight. We'll talk to you again soon here on CLNS and the Garden Report. Talk to you then. Peace.
No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're going to do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to feel that way. Let's
Yeah.
slide Al over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke